Hare Krishna. Just give me a minute. Okay, 1.2.0. And I'll just open the Darshini. Okay. अथ ब्रह्माण्डमध्यस्मिन्. Okay, wait. Okay. Vande Rupa Sanatanam Raghuram Shri Jiva Gopalakam. अथ ब्रह्माण्डमध्यस्मिन् तातन्नेक्षे कृपास्पदम् विष्णुः किन्तु महादेव एव ख्यातः सखेति यम्. In fact, in this universe, I see no object of Lord Vishnu's mercy equal to Mahadev Shiva. He is famous as the dear friend of the Lord. Okay, let me read the commentary. It's derived from Digdarshini of Sri Sanatana Goswami. Other than Lord Shiva, everyone in every part of the universe, upper, middle, and lower, is imperfect. Madhyodhva atho vasi dosha sadbhava. Although certain persons like Prahlad will be described later in this book as greater devotees of Krishna than Lord Shiva, strictly speaking, they are not residents of the material world. So the moment we engage in pure devotional service unto Krishna's lotus feet, uninterrupted devotional service unto Krishna's lotus feet, we are not part of material existence. Maam chayo vyabhicharina bhakti yogena sevate sagunasamati tyaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. The idea is and we know that devotional service involves remembrance of the Supreme Lord, Martavya Satatam Vishnu, Vismartavya na Jatachya, and we should not forget him. But devotees of the status of Prahlad Maharaj and so on, they have a nature. Tesham prapanchātita svabhava vasasthanam adrishmayam. They should not be considered to be residing in the material world because they have the nature of a resident of a spiritual world. That is because their remembrance of the Supreme Lord is uninterrupted and exclusive. Uninterrupted and exclusive. You may remember Krishna, but at the same time, you may be your attention may be on other things also. But this is not like that. Here we are going to be talking about devotees whose nature will be just like the resident of a spiritual world. Because the character of a devotee like Prahlad is untouched by material contamination, anywhere he resides is spiritual. This Lord Brahma is not speaking inconsistently. Therefore, he is speaking appropriately. Because Brahma and Shiva are both Gunavataras, the Supreme Lord deals with them similarly. The mercy that both of them have attained is of the same category. Brahma can understand Lord Krishna's mercy on Lord Shiva because it resembles something within his own experience. But the exceptional mercy obtained by a person much greater than himself is beyond Brahma's ability to understand. Natu atyanta asadrishyet trina parvatadher lagu vruttadi vicharavat. The distinction is so great that you don't expect him to understand. Only things in some way similar can be meaningfully compared as greater and lesser. For example, the weight of a blade of grass is so extremely different from that of a mountain that one cannot sensibly compare them. Thus, when Goddess Ganga, as we are told in Sri Harivamsha, declares the ocean more fortunate than herself, she does not compare herself with Brahma, who is much more fortunate still. In the same way, Brahma here compares himself with Lord Shiva and not with even greater Vaishnavas like Prahlad, what to speak of the trumpet boys and other inhabitants of Vraja. In Harivamsha, this appears in the reference to Harivamsha here is to the portion known as Dhanya Upakhyana, who's more fortunate. Straight, these portions of the commentary are directly from Sanatana Goswami's commentary. Evam uttaratra purvatrapi sarvatra kittu mahadev. Okay, this way of comparing oneself with a devotee who is superior should be understood should be continued by Sanatana Goswami throughout the first part. Yascha Shri Krishna Padabja Raseno Madita Sada Avadhirita Sarvartha Paramaishwarya Bhoga Kaha. Lord Shiva is always intoxicated by the taste found at Sri Krishna's lotus feet. He therefore has no interest in any of the normal goals of life, even up to the rulership of the universe and the sense enjoyment such rulership provides. Asmad Drisho Vishayino Bhoga Saktan Hasanniva Dhusturar Kastimala Dhrik Nagno Bhasmanule Panaha. As if ridiculing materialists like me who are simply addicted to sense enjoyment. He goes around naked wearing garlands of Dhustura, Arka, and bones smeared all over with ashes. Dhustura, it's an intoxicating weed. Arka refers to the leaves of the Arka plant. Viprakirna Jatabhara Unmatta Iva Ghurnate Athaswa Gopana Shakta Krishna Padabja Shauchit Jam Ganga Mudhni Vahan Harshan Nityamshal Layate Jagat. His matted locks scatter about. He moves about aimlessly like a madman, yet he is unable to conceal his glories. With joy, he carries on his head the Ganga, born from the water that washed Krishna's lotus feet. When he dances, he destroys the universe. Lord Shiva rejects with disdain. He, with avagya, neglects, discards the ambitions of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. He has no desire to be an independent controller and enjoyer. The satisfaction others derive from worldly pursuits and the achievement of supremacy does not attract him. He identifies himself fully as a servant of Krishna. In Lord Shiva's view, demigods like Brahma and Indra are addicted to sense enjoyment. The celestial garlands, ornaments, and perfumes last only a short time and so leave them dissatisfied. Better than the decorations of the demigods are his own garlands made of bones and intoxicating weeds, which at least cause no disappointment when they decay. This requires an extremely high degree of renunciation. All straight coming from Sanatana Goswami. These strange ornaments, Lord Shiva thinks, are no less substantial than Indra's and Brahma's divine garlands. But they are only Lord Shiva's external decorations. It's a real ornament and it's a real enjoyment. They're found in the mercy of Shri Krishna. As Sri Sanatana Goswami says, Sri Krishnanugraha eva paramu bhushana bhogadi. For him, that is the mercy of Sri Krishna is what he considers to be the greatest ornament for him. He considers that to be the greatest source of enjoyment and so on. Humbly thinking himself bereft of that mercy, he feels fit to wear weeds and bones. With such ideas in mind, the great Lord Shiva conducts himself in his own peculiar way. I think I might have noted it, but that's a statement in the Padma Purana that spoken by Lord Shiva to Parvati Devi, that when he hears any word which begins with the sound Ra, he becomes very delighted, thinking that it might be a name of Ram. He's specifically attracted to Lord Ramachandra. So you can understand how great a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva, is. Apart from him being an expansion of the Lord, he is also a great devotee of the Lord. Krishna prasadat tenaiva matrisham adhikarinam abhishtarpayitum muktistasya patnyapi shakyate. By Krishna's grace, Lord Shiva and his wife are able to award liberation to candidates like me who eagerly want it. Adhikarinam. He awards liberation for those who are officers, adhikaris, those who are, there are particular posts which are given to those who are fit for particular aspects of universal administration. Principal demigods like Indra and Brahma enjoy high posts in the administration of the universe. But after carrying out extensive duties for many millions of years, they may tire of this burden. Thus, liberation from material existence begins to look more and more attractive to them. In the midst of all the pomp and luxury of heavenly rulership, many demigods quietly harbor the desire for liberation. Here, Lord Brahma groups himself with lesser demigods, even though he is an empowered incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Speaking from humility, Swabhavika Vinayokti. Yeah. Sri Sanatana Goswami notes that this is an expression of his natural humility. Speaking from humility, he describes himself as just another appointed administrator with selfish motives of his own. So Lord Brahma, considering his subordinates, his own subordinates, and their consciousness, he presents himself as being of a similar type. Aho sarve pite mukta shivalokanivasina muktastat kripaya krishna bhaktascha katina bhavan. Indeed, everyone who lives on Lord Shiva's planet is liberated by his mercy. So many persons have become liberated, and even pure devotees of Krishna. Lord Shiva is Nitya Mukta, eternally liberated, and his devotees are liberated also. Tad bhakta api sarve Nitya Mukta ityashena. Even the devotees of Lord Shiva are eternally liberated. Shivaloka, the Shivaloka that is being discussed here, is the one that is on the other side of the Brahmajyoti. Many other fortunate souls living on lower planets like the earth have also been blessed by his mercy and instructions, which have given these souls the strength to advance spiritually in various ways. The prasada anyepi bhavo bhaktim cha praptu. Others have not only become liberated souls, they have even become pure devotees of Krishna. So by Lord Shiva's grace, one can become a pure devotee of Krishna. Here, Lord Shiva is respected, honored, and worshipped as a spiritual master, not as an independent Lord, the way certain less intelligent devotees of Lord Shiva think that Lord Vishnu is under Lord Shiva's control. Krishna Shivasya Bhedeksha Mahadosha Karimata Ago Bhagavata Swasmin Kshamyate Na Shivekritam. To consider Lord Shiva different from Krishna is a serious deviation. The personality of God tolerates offenses against himself, but not against Lord Shiva. Evam Shri Vishnu Kripa Aspadatva Uktya Praptam Bhedam Varayati. So then he points, Lord Shiva is described as a recipient of Lord Vishnu's mercy, but this does not mean that the two lords are different from one another in the same way that Lord Vishnu differs from the Jivas. The Padma Purana includes the Namaparada Bhanjana Stotra, a list of 10 offenses against chanting Lord Vishnu's name. Therein it is said, Shivasya Shri Vishnu Yaha Guna Namadi Sakalam Dhiya Bhinnam Pashyetsa Khalu Hari Nama Hitakara. One who sees differences between any of Lord Shiva's qualities and names and those of Shri Vishnu is an antagonist to Harinam. Lord Vishnu cannot tolerate offenses against Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva is the greatest of Lord Vishnu's empowered incarnations. Lord Shiva is especially empowered to distribute in the material world the elevated tastes of pure devotional service. Swasya Bhakti Rasa Atishaya Grahaka Maha Avatarattvena Paramaprishthatva. The Sanatana Goswami notes that Lord Shiva is most dear to him because he is a great incarnation who causes others to experience an abundance of bhakti rasa. So, therefore, Lord Shiva should not be just mistaken to be just another demigod. Just the service that he does while holding the post of controlling Tamoguna. Shivadatta Varanmatta Tripureshwara Tomaya Tatha Vritkasuradescha Sankatam Paramam Gata Shivas Samudhrito Nena Harshitascha Vachomritai Taddantaranga Sadbhaktya Krishnena Vashavartina Swayam Maradhyate Chasya Mahatmyam Bharasiddhaye. When Maya, the master of Tripura, grew intoxicated with pride by Lord Shiva's benediction and placed Lord Shiva in danger. And when Lord Shiva was troubled by other demons like Vikasura, the Supreme Lord saved him and encouraged him with nectarian words. And sometimes, to broadcast Lord Shiva's glories, Lord Krishna takes the role of his subordinate and worships him with intimate devotion. Tadeva darshayati shiveti chaturhi. So now, having said that Lord Shiva is dearest to him, he now demonstrates that in 4 verses beginning with text 87. Lord Shiva once empowered Mayadanava to construct for the demons of Tripura a well of heavenly nectar that could revive the dead. On another occasion, Lord Shiva granted Vikasura the power to crack anyone's head into pieces by merely touching it with his hand. Lord Shiva also granted great strength and influence to demons like Ravana. Each of these demons became intoxicated with his acquired perfections and created trouble for Lord Shiva. Maya made it difficult to destroy Tripura. Vrika tried to test his power on Lord Shiva's head, compelling Lord Shiva to flee for his life. And Ravana moved Kailas mountain from its base. Each time Lord Krishna came to save Lord Shiva, he drank up Mayadanava's well, beguiled Vrika into touching his own head. He cheated Vrika. And as Sri Ramachandra killed Ravana with bow and arrows. These famous episodes, briefly alluded to here, are elaborately described in various scriptures, including Srimad Bhagavatam. So what more needs to be written here? Kimcha swaparadhena lajjitah san na aham iva ukshavachanena tiraskrita. The Supreme Lord did not make me embarrassed. Brahma points out that although Lord Nrsimhadev had rebuked him, the Supreme Lord did not treat Lord Shiva's offenses in the same way. Look at this analysis. how the Supreme Lord deals with Brahma's mistakes, apparent mistakes, and Lord Shiva's apparent mistakes. Instead, responding to Lord Shiva's remorse, the Lord generally tried to encourage him, saying, for example, about Vrikasura, Aho Deva Mahadeva, Aho Deva Mahadeva, Papo Yam Svena Papmana, Hato, Atah Ko no Mahat Swisha Jantur Vaikrutakil Visha, Shemi Syatkim Mu Vishwe She, Kratagas Ko Jagat Gurau. Just see, O Mahadev, my Lord, how this wicked man has been killed by his own sinful reactions. Indeed, what living being can hope for good fortune if he offends exalted saints? What to speak of offending the Lord and spiritual master of the universe? So this is how he describes Lord Shiva. But this is not how the Supreme Lord deals with the apparent mistakes of Lord Brahma when he gives a benediction which is not suited. The Supreme Lord in his incarnation in Parashuram worships Lord Shiva in loving reciprocation by advertising Lord Shiva's greatness. Parashuram and other forms also. Kimartham, why? Asya Shivasya Mahatmya Bharas Swasmadapi Mahimantishaya Tasya Sanjaya. Because he wants to glorify Lord Shiva more than himself. Anena Sneha Vishesho Darshita. So the Lord has a special type of affection for Lord Shiva. Ishtattapi Swayam Sakshat Krishnenamrita Manthane Prajapati Bher Aradhya Sad Gauri Prana Vallabha Samanaya Visham Ghoram Payayitva Vibhushitaha Mahamahimad Bher Abhishiktascha Tatsputam. Although Krishna was personally present at the churning of nectar from the milk ocean, he and the rulers of the universe chose to worship Lord Shiva, the life and soul of Gauri. Lord Shiva collected and drank a terrible poison, which thereafter became his ornament. He was then ceremonially bathed in the presence of everyone assembled and was glorified with floods of praise. Eighth canto. Swayam Sakshat Tishtata. In the very presence of Lord Krishna, this happened. In the presence of Krishna, the demigods had no need to fear destruction from the halahala poison churned from the ocean of milk. Krishna chose, however, not to contract the poison himself, but to give Lord Shiva an opportunity to show his prowess. The Supreme Lord and the Prajapatis honored Lord Shiva with Vedic hymns and other prayers, entreating him to save them. Their request was so strongly presented that Lord Shiva took the risk of drinking all the poison, ignoring the objections of his dear wife Gauri. Tasyah parama anabhishtamapi tad vishapanam karayitve jatah. Even though he is most dear to the life of Sri Gauri, and even though she did not at all want him to drink this poison, still he did it. The demigods praised Lord Shiva for a feat even Lord Vishnu had not performed. From then on, the blue marks made on Lord Shiva's throat by the poison became renowned as his unique ornament. Puranam yeva gayanti dayalatvam hare hare jayate hitvaya pye tat param jas paryatam mune. The Puranas sing of Lord Hari's compassion towards Lord Hara. You surely know all this and more, O thoughtful sage. To recall these glories, you need only exercise your memory. Lord Hara is Lord Shiva. Hare, Shri Rudre, Vishaye, Hare, Dayalatvam, Paramavatsalya. Compassion refers to his extreme parental affection. Lord Hari's attitude towards Lord Hara is something like a father's affection for his son. Ateva tan maduktam sat. Okay. Narada can remember other instances of Lord Shiva's displaying his glories. For example, when he blessed Lord Krishna to have an excellent son, Samba. Let me see if I can trace it. There is a place. I'm not able to trace it immediately, but there is a place where there is a reference to this. This happened in a particular pastime. Lord Shiva, he engaged in the pastime of blessing Lord Krishna to have a son. Okay. Shri Parikshit Uvacha Gurum Pranamyatam Gantum Kailasam Girimutsukaha Alakshyokta Panastena Swaputra Putravatsale. Shri Parikshit said, "Oh dear mother, affectionate protector of your son, Narada bowed down to his spiritual master, Lord Brahma. And when Brahma saw his son, Narada eager to set off for Kailas, Brahma then told him something more. A father should be honored as a kind of spiritual master, all the more if he has given essential instructions in Krishna consciousness. Brahma is the father of all fathers among the living entities. He personally taught his youngest son Narada the science of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Brahma is omniscient within the material universe, he knew that Narada wanted to go to Mount Kailas, Lord Shiva's abode in the universe. Brahmalokato Bhurloka Gamanayadho Drishtya Kailasad Digbhagam Vikshanena Gyatva. Noticing that Narada was glancing down from Brahmaloka in the direction of Kailas, Brahma decided to suggest a better idea. Shri Brahma Vacha Kuverena Puraradhya Bhaktya Rudro Vashikrataha Brahmandabhyantare Tasya Kailase Krite Giro. Shri Brahma said, Kuvera once earned the gratitude of Lord Shiva by devotedly worshipping him. From then on, within this universe, Lord Shiva has submitted to Kuvera's authority on Kuvera's Mount Kailas. Tad Vitikpala Rupena, Tad Yogya Parivarakah, Vasatyavishkrita Swalpam Vaibhavah, San Umapatihi. Lord Shiva, the husband of Uma, lives there as the guardian of Kuvera's side of the heavenly sphere. Accompanied by suitable attendants, he shows but a small fraction of his opulence. Kuvera, the appointed treasurer of heaven, rules the northeast. Pleased with Kuvera, Lord Shiva, despite his own exalted position, takes up menial service as Kuvera's guard. Lord Shiva's wife Uma and several of his associates and servants accompany Lord Shiva in Kailas, which compared with his eternal abode outside the universe is modest in opulence and entourage. This is all straight from Sri Sanatana Goswami. Umapati indicates that Umapati, the husband of Uma. Umapati Ityanena Tayasaha Vasati Tyartana indicates that Lord Shiva lives in this particular place with his wife Parvati. Brahma implies if you go to see Lord Shiva on Kuvera's Kailas, you'll not be able to understand fully how much greater Lord Shiva is than I. Yatha hi Krishno Bhagavan Madrisham Bhaktiyantrikaha Mama Lokeswaradocha Vasatyu Chitalilaya. Just as the personality of Godhead Krishna, brought under control by the devotion of servants like me, resides on my planet and in heaven and elsewhere, Lord Shiva lives in Kailas, displaying suitable pastimes. This is an illustration. The Supreme Lord reciprocates with his best devotees in this world, Brahma, Kashyapa, and so on, by living with them personally in heaven, below heaven on the earth, above heaven on Maharloka, and elsewhere. So if Krishna is really satisfied, he literally lives with us and allows us to personally serve him. Swargada ityadi shabdena swargada dasana bhurloka. In each incarnation, the Lord appears with suitable pastimes, paraphernalia, family, and friends. So he manifests all of this. Ataha Kauvena Dikvarti Kailasa Giri Gavanena Shri Mahadevasya Swalpaishwari Darshanena Mattas Sakashat Tadiyo Mahamaki Mahatishayo Vidyato Nasyam. So he implies that if you go to this Kailasa, you will not actually understand the real opulence of Lord Shiva. That point, Bhagavatamrita Prabhu brought it out here, but it appears in the commentary to text 95. Atha Vayu Puranasya Matam Etad Bravinyaham Shri Mahadeva Lokastu Sapta Varnato Bahi. Evidence. Now, let me tell you the opinion of the Vayu Purana. The abode of Sri Mahadeva lies outside the 7 coverings of the universe. Nanu Tarhi Kutranya Staloka Vartade. Where is that other place where he resides? Anticipating that, he says this. The abode of Sri Mahadev lies outside the 7 coverings of the universe. Tebhyo Bahihi Ato Nityaha Natu Brahmandavat Vinashvara. It is outside. So it is not like a material universe, a Brahmanda, which is temporary. Tatracha na mayikaha itu satyaha. And it is not a product of Maya, it is real. The material universe is enclosed within 7 concentric shells made of earth and the other basic elements. Outside them, all lies the imperishable realm of Lord Shiva. In contrast to all the planets inside the shells, planets that are temporary products of material nature, this abode of Lord Shiva is not a creation of Maya. In Shiva Loka, there is no unhappiness. Sukhamaya is going to be stated actually in the next line here. Nitya Sukhamaya Satya, the real, filled with happiness, it's eternal. Sukhamaya, Ananda Paripaka Rupa. You have the highest refined forms of bliss. Tatevatasya Mahadevasya Sevakeshu Utamai Shreshthai Tad Bhakti Ganishthai. That world is attained by the best of Lord Shiva's devotees, not just ordinary devotees. The ones who understand him to be non-different from Sri Krishna. Not the Shaivites who are karmis or jnanis or who worship Lord Shiva as an independent supreme controller. Natu karma parair jnananishtairva Sri Krishna aprasatvena Sri Shiva upasakairva. So that world cannot be attained by persons who have a separatist vision concerning Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Those who accept Lord Shiva as the perfect representative of Lord Vishnu, as their spiritual master, and who are interested in satisfying Lord Shiva and the Supreme Lord Vishnu, they are the ones who go there, not the regular materialistic souls. Nitya Sukhamaya Satyo Labhyastat Sevakottamaihi Samana Mahima Shri Mat Parivara Ganavritaha Mahavibhutiman bhati satparikshita panditaha Srimad Sankarshanam swasmadabhinnam tatra sorchayan Nijeshta devata kvena kim va na tanutedbhutam. Is the evidence shown here? There is evidence shown in Bhagavatamrita about Lord Shiva having an abode outside of the universal coverings. Not going into details, but at least I think it's my duty to show you this. This is Sandarbha of Sri Jiva Goswami. Vayu Purane tu Shlopuram api tadvat shruyate. We learn from the Vayu Purana that Lord Shiva has his own abode. And then there is detailed description how it is beyond the universal coverings. In case anyone is interested, it's in the 73rd section of the Bhagavat Sandarbha, which is the second of the 6 Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami. Okay. Eternal and full of happiness. That abode is absolutely real. It can be attained by the best of Lord Shiva's servants. There, Lord Shiva, served by the most excellent regalia, reveals himself in his full splendor, surrounded by companions who share opulence and beauty equal to his. As his personal deity, he worships Lord Sankarshana, non-different from himself. What amazing wonders does Lord Shiva in this manifestation not display? So this is Adi Shiva, as Sri Rupa Goswami mentions in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, the original Shiva. In his original abode, Lord Shiva displays his full opulence, including ever-existing palaces and airplanes, and his unequal personal assets of religion, wealth, sense enjoyment, liberation, and devotion to the Supreme Lord. His emblems of rulership, such as his jewelry, chamara fans, and royal umbrellas, surpass those of Brahma and the other demigods. On Shiva Loka, Lord Shiva always worships the personality of Godhead in his form as Sri Sankarshana, who has thousands of serpent hoods. Yes. Both Lord Sankarshana and his expansion Lord Shiva are incarnations of the Supreme Godhead, and so they are non-different. When the time comes for the material universe to be annihilated, Rudra, the destroyer, appears from Sri Sankarshana. That Rudra is a specific aspect of Lord Shiva who presides over the material mode of ignorance. Everyone who sees Lord Shiva worshipping Sankarshana one expansion of the Supreme worshipping another becomes astonished, especially when Lord Shiva dances in ecstasy and offers wonderful prayers. Abhinnasyapi ishtadevatvena upasanaya ananda vishesha avirbhavat vidhi. That's an indication here that how can one who is non-different from the object of worship manifest such special forms of bliss just by worshipping him. Ateva Ilavrata Varshe Shri Shivasya Ishtadevatvena Shri Sankarshanarchanam Panchamaskandhe. Sri Shukenapyuktam. Lord Shiva's worship of Sri Sankarshana can also be seen in the earthly planetary system in Ilavrata Varsha, as Sukadeva Goswami describes in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 17. So we should first of all understand that Sri Sanatana Goswami, and in fact all the disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for them, they explain the entire body of Vedic literature in terms of Srimad Bhagavatam. For everything we look at Srimad Bhagavatam. It is Srimad Bhagavatam that we consider to be the highest clarifying scripture, Nirnayaka Shastra. That scripture which clarifies the teachings of other scriptures. Tatragantam bhavan chaktaha Shri Shive Shuddha Bhaktiman Abhingamyatam Ashritya Kripa Krishnasya Pashyatu. You have the power to go there because you have pure devotion for him. Therefore, go. Take shelter of him and see the real mercy of Krishna. Krishnena saha abhedena premnaya bhakti sa shuddha. You have affection for him as being inseparable from Krishna. That love is pure. Because Nanda respects Lord Shiva properly as an expansion not different from Krishna, from Lord Krishna, and therefore loves Lord Shiva with spontaneous devotion. There is no bar to his entering Shivaloka. If Narada is to go there and take shelter of Lord Shiva by offering respects and praise, he will be able to see the mercy of Krishna in the ecstasy and opulences of Lord Shiva. Shri Parikshitavacha Ityevam Shikshito Matah Shiva Krishneti Kirtayan Narada Shiva Lokam Tam Prayatah Kautukadiva. Shri Parikshit said, my dear mother, after Narada received these instructions, he departed for Shivaloka with joyful anticipation, chanting, Shiva, Krishna. There's a beautiful statement by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in one of his songs. Chaturmukha Brahma Bole, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Panchamukha Mahadeva Rama Rama Hare Hare. With his 4 faces, Lord Brahma, he sings Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, and with his 5 faces, Mahadev, he sings Rama Rama Hare Hare. They're all devotees of Lord Krishna. Do not consider that they are just demigods who are, first of all the demigods are devotees of Krishna. That is there. But Lord Brahma is an exalted devotee of Krishna, and Lord Shiva is his devotion to Lord Krishna is far superior. The gist of Brahma's advice to Narada is that he should have faith in Lord Shiva as non-different from Lord Sri Krishna. Even though this advice was familiar to Narada, he was inspired to hear it. He welcomed the opportunity Brahma was giving him to show the world the extent of Lord Shiva's glories. He was also curious about what he would find when he arrived at Shivaloka. That's straight from Sri Sanatana Goswami's Darshan. Thus ends the second chapter of part 1 of Srila Sanatana Goswami's Bhagavatamrita entitled Divya, in heaven, Prapanchatita, beyond the material world. Narada visits Shivaloka. Now, Shivaloka is beyond material existence. That's why this chapter is titled in this way. Shri Parikshitavacha, Bhagavantam Haram Tatra, Bhavavishta Tayahare, Nrityantam Kirtayantam Cha, Krita Sankarshanarchanam, Brisham Nandishwaradimscha, Shlakha Manam Nijanudan, Pritya Sa Jaya Shabdani, Gita Vadyani Tanvataha, Devim Choma Prashamsantam Karatalishu Kovidam, Duradrishta Nirishto Namadvinam Ninadayan Pramanu Grihitosi Krishnasyeti Muhurmuhu Jagau Sarvam Chapitroktam Suswaram Samakirtayat. Parikshit said, arriving in Shivaloka from a distance, the sage Narada saw Lord Shiva, Sri Hara, who had just finished his worship of Lord Sankarsana, Sri Hari. Entranced in ecstatic love, Lord Shiva was dancing and loudly singing the glories of his Lord, while his associates played instrumental music and shouted Jai, Jai. With great affection, he praised his assistants like Nandishwara, as well as the goddess Uma, who was expertly clapping her hands. The sight of all this delighted Narada. Vibrating his veena and nodding his head to show respect, he called out several times, "You are the greatest recipient of Krishna's mercy." And in a sweet voice, he recounted to Lord Shiva everything just told him by their father, Lord Brahma. तृतीयेतु शिवेनोक्तं स्वस्मात् वैकुण्ठ वासिषु यथा कृष्ण कृपाधिक्यं तेभ्यः प्रह्लादके तथा. In the third chapter, Lord Shiva says that Prahlad Maharaj has greater mercy, has received greater mercy from Lord Krishna. The amount of mercy that Krishna gave unto Prahlad is greater than the mercy that he had received. Prahlad Maharaj, as well as the residents of Vaikuntha. Prahlad is considered a resident of Vaikuntha even though he is in this world. Even though he may be in this world. Lord Shiva had just finished worshipping his deity, Lord Sankarsana. The rituals of his worship were similar to those Narada had witnessed on earth at Prayag. But at the end of the worship, Lord Shiva displayed the symptoms of ecstasy described in this verse. Worship of the Supreme Lord's deity attracts both neophytes and advanced souls, but Vaishnavas who are fully self-realized enjoy intimate relationships with their worshipable deity. For such Vaishnavas, the Lord's acceptance of even the simplest act of devotion brings profound devotional ecstasies. Thus, Narada found Lord Shiva in a trance of Sankirtana, reciting prayers to Lord Sankarsana, similar to those recorded in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhaje bhajanya vanapada pankajam bhagasya kritsnasya paramparayan bhakte shwalam bhavita bhuta bhavanam bhavapaham va bhava bhavam ishvara. Oh my Lord, you are the only worshipable person. For you are the Supreme Personality of God, the reservoir of all opulences. Your secure lotus feet are the only source of protection for all your devotees, whom you satisfy by manifesting yourself in various forms. Oh my Lord, you deliver your devotees from the clutches of material existence. Non-devotees, however, remain entangled in material existence by your will. Kindly accept me as your eternal servant. So this is how he offers obeisances unto the Supreme Lord. And the sage Narada, he offered obeisances unto Lord Hara, Lord Shiva. Upon seeing all this, since Lord Shiva is an incarnation of the personality of Godhead, and Lord Shiva and the personality of Godhead are therefore non-different, Lord Shiva does not need to worship Lord Sankarsana to become purified from material illusion. Lord Shiva performs worship externally with standard paraphernalia to educate the world about the transcendental tastes of devotional service. अत्र च श्री संकर्षणस्य पूजादिकं पूर्ववत् विशेषतो विस्तारेण न उक्तम्. There's no detailed description of how we worshipped Sri Sankarshana. Sri Bhagavatamrita Sri Shivasya Kevalam, because as an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Shiva, he engaged in that worship only to propagate the various mellows of Bhagavad Bhakti in the words. Kevalam lokeshu Bhagavad Bhakti rasa pravartanarthameva tat pujanam. Brahma is also considered an incarnation of Godhead, but Shiva and Brahma are not equal in status. Lord Shiva is not different from Vishnu in a more literal sense. The post of Brahma is almost always occupied by a Jiva, whereas no Jiva can ever become Shiva Tattva. Many statements from revealed scriptures. Wait. Yes, that's. Yeah. Okay, things are described here. Okay. Many statements from revealed scriptures characterize Lord Shiva as not different from Lord Vishnu. For example, in the Padma Purana, in the description of the 10 offenses against Lord Vishnu's holy names, we saw this already. One who sees differences between any of Lord Shiva's qualities and names and those of Sri Vishnu is an antagonist to Harinam. There are no similar injunctions about the non-difference of Brahma and Vishnu. Authorized scriptures state that persons like Vasishtha, who are certainly finite jivas, will become Lord Brahma in their own universes in future lives. Theoretically, any jiva soul can attain the post of Brahma. As Lord Shiva told the Prachetas, Swadharmanishta Shatajanma Grih Kuman Virinchatameti Tatah Param Himam. A person who strictly executes his occupational duty without deviation for 100 births becomes qualified to occupy the post of Brahma. And if he becomes more qualified, he can approach me, Lord Shiva. Natu kutrapi Shri Shivasya jivatvam shruyate. Sometimes a jiva has been described as becoming Lord Brahma, but you do not find Shiva being described as a jiva. This is all referring to Adi Shiva. He can approach me means he can come to me. He comes to me. He doesn't say he becomes me. These words state that a jiva can join Lord Shiva, not that he can become Shiva. Narada has included Lord Shiva in a search for recipients of the Supreme Lord's mercy, because Lord Shiva is a special incarnation of the Lord in the form of his own devotee. केवलं भक्तावतारत्वेन इव अत्र श्री भगवत अनुग्रह भरपात्र भक्तगण मध्ये निर्देशयति. He has been presented as a person who has attained abundant mercy from Sri Bhagavan because simply because he is an incarnation as a devotee. Narada has included Lord Shiva in his search for recipients of the Supreme Lord's mercy because Lord Shiva is a special incarnation of the Lord in the form of his own devotee. The followers of Lord Shiva, whom Narada saw on Shivaloka, were all great Vaishnavas who deeply imbibed their master's mood of Vishnu Bhakti. एवं सर्वेषामेव तत्परिगणानामपि निजस्वामी अनुवर्तित्वेन भगवद्भक्तिपरत्वम् उक्तम्. All of them are understood to be devotees of Bhagavan Vishnu. Lord Shiva praised them for their artistic accompaniment, especially his consort Parvati for her hand clapping, because their performance was manifested directly from pure devotion. Witnessing all this, Narada also became ecstatic. He danced so enthusiastically that he was unable to offer prostrate obeisances. And since he did not want to stop playing his veena, he showed respect simply by nodding his head. Then, wanting to say something to show approval of Lord Shiva's behavior, he proceeded to recount what Brahma had told him about Lord Shiva's glories. Then, Atha Shri Rudrapadabja Reno Sparshana Kamyaya Samipe Bhyagatam Devo Vaishnavaika Priyo Munim Akrishya Shishya Sammatah Shri Krishna Rasadharaya Brisham Paprakshakim Brushe Brahmaputre Tisadaram. Narada came closer, hoping to touch the dust of the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, the best of the Vaishnavas. But as the sage came near Lord Shiva, a flood of Krishna conscious pleasure driving him wild forcibly drew Narada closer and embraced him. Without hesitating, he asked Narada with respect, "Dear son of Brahma, what are you saying?" Yeah. Totally absorbed in ecstasy, Lord Shiva, when turning to greet Narada, at first found what Narada was telling him difficult to understand. So therefore he asked him, "What are you saying?" Tata Shri Vaishnava Shrestha Sambhashana Rasa Plutam Santyakta Nratyak Kutukam Mita Priya Janavritam Parvati Prananatham Tam Vrishyam Virasanena Sah Asinam Pranaman Bhaktya Patan Rudra Shadangakam. Absorbed in the taste of talking with that superlative Vaishnava Narada, Lord Shiva then stopped his playful dancing and sat down. He sat on a strong mat in the Virasana posture, and a few of his gentle companions seated themselves around him. With devotion, Narada bowed down to Lord Shiva, the life and soul of Parvati, and chanted the 6-syllable Rudra mantra. Okay. One who is observing a serious vow should sit on a kusha mat called a Vrishni, assuming the meditative hero's posture which expresses one's firm determination. This asana is defined in the Yoga Shastras. Okay. The Rudra Shadangaka is a mantra of the Vedas. It begins with the words Namaste. Straight from the commentary. Jagadishatva Mahatmya Prakashana Parah Stavai Astau Divritya Tasmincha Jago Krishna Kripam Bharam. Narada then recited prayers glorifying Lord Shiva as the supreme controller of the universe and elaborately proclaimed the fullness of the mercy bestowed upon Shiva by Lord Krishna. Brahmoktana Sarana Vistarya Jagaucha Tasmine. He spoke in line with what has been spoken by Lord Brahma. Narada praises Lord Shiva, who becomes angry. Karno Pidhaya Rudrosau Sakrodham Avadad Bhrisham Sarva Vaishnava Mursanyo Vishnu Bhakti Pravartaka. Lord Rudra, the best of Vaishnavas, the initiator of devotion service to Vishnu, at once covered his ears and angrily replied, Vaishnavana Maheshwara. Of all Vaishnavas, Lord Maheshwara is the greatest. Yataha Vishnu Bhakti Pravartaka. Why is he the greatest Vaishnava? Because he propounds Vishnu Bhakti. He is the greatest Vaishnava because he initiates the teaching of pure devotion service. He founded the Rudra Sampradaya, one of the 4 authentic Vaishnava schools. यद्यपि भगवत अवतारत्वेन साक्षात् भगवान विष्णुरेवाय तथापि तद भक्ति प्रवर्तक अवतारत्वात् तथोक्ते युक्ते वेति मंतव्य. Should be understood that even though he is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, he is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. Still, as an incarnation of one who propagates devotional service unto Lord Vishnu, he has been described as a preacher of Vishnu Bhakti. Therefore, it is appropriate. He is more famous as a Vaishnava than as an incarnation of Vishnu. Okay, let me make a note. Okay. 1.3.11. Okay, questions? Just 1 minute, 1 minute. Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Why are you unable to unmute? Okay, now, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji, can you explain once again that in Padma Puran it's written about the Nam Aparad, whereas what Prabhupada has told us appears to be, at least to me, to be little different. So how do we reconcile? I'm not very clear.
No, that verse also has other meanings. We will see when we come to Harinam Chintamani. Oh, for those who are in Namashriya Bhakti course, they will see. The verse has multiple meanings. One meaning of that statement is one should not distinguish between the qualities of the most auspicious Lord Vishnu from the Supreme Lord Vishnu. To distinguish between these qualities and the Lord is an offense. Another meaning is one who distinguishes between the qualities of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. He is an offender unto the holy name of Lord Hari.
But at the same time, Prabhupada mentions in some of the purports that Lord Shiva has 55 qualities and
He manifests. He manifests that much. Just like Lord Vishnu manifests 60 out of the 64 primary qualities of Krishna. But we know that Lord Vishnu is Krishna. So in a similar manner, Adi Shiva, the original form of Lord Shiva, he manifests only 55 out of the primary qualities. But he's the same person.
what exactly does Prabhupada mean when he says that to consider the name of Lord Shiva to be equal to or independent of Lord Vishnu? How to understand it? What does he mean actually? Is it only name or the person or the qualities or what is it?
See, Lord Shiva, the original form of Lord Shiva is a direct expansion of the Lord. So we should also understand how the expansion is different and how is not different. But we should also understand how that relationship is completely different from the relationship between Vishnu Tattva and the Jiva Tattva itself.
But Prabhupada uses the word only name. He doesn't say anything about qualities.
That's okay. Name includes name, form, quality, pastimes, abode, associates.
But he says to consider it to be equal is an offense.
No, if you consider that he is a separate person, he is, see, it is like this. Jiva Goswami has pointed out. Yeah. The Jiva Goswami in his Bhakti Sandarbha has clearly explained that the pure devotee's observation of the spiritual master and Lord Shiva as being one with the personality of God exists in terms of their being very dear to the Lord, not identical with him in all respects. The idea is that we should not think that a bona fide Vaishnava or Lord Shiva are independent of Krishna. They are not independent of Krishna. They are non-different as representatives of the Lord. They are non-different as representatives of the Lord. Prabhupada has also pointed out that Lord Shiva is the Supreme. It comes here, right here. Krishna Bhagavan Swami himself. in this very purport. Here. The standard of perfection for a human being is to develop the attributes up to 78% in full. A living being can never possess attributes like Shiva, Vishnu, or Lord Krishna. A living being can become godly by developing the 78% transcendental attributes in fullness. But he can never become a god like Shiva, Vishnu, or Krishna. He can become a Brahma in due course. The godly living beings who are residents of the planets in the spiritual sky are eternal associates of God in different spiritual planets called Haridham and Maheshdham. Maheshdham is also an abode of God. That should also be understood.
So then we can consider the name of Lord Shiva and Vishnu to be equal.
They are equal in a certain sense only. It is not that you can worship Lord Shiva without worshipping the Supreme Lord and attain the Shiva Loka beyond material existence. That is impossible. When you worship Lord Shiva as your Guru and you worship the Supreme Lord as your object of worship, then you end up in Shiva Loka. By the way, that is how one is supposed to worship the demigods also. Who ends up in Brahma Loka? The one who accepts Brahma as his Guru and worships the Supreme Lord Vishnu. He is the one who ends up in Brahma Loka. The same way, like that. One who accepts Lord Shiva as a transparent via media to Lord Vishnu. There's always a distinction between the Vishaya and Ashraya. One who accepts Vishnu as the Vishaya Vigraha and Lord Shiva as the Ashraya Vigraha. Is the one who guides you to Lord Vishnu. You want to serve Lord Vishnu under the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. Then you go there.
I have discussed this once with one devotee from Rudra Sampradaya, and they were very upset with this translation of Prabhupada. They said, no, he is equal. How can you say they cannot be equal?
No, they're equal in a
There
particular
are some
sense.
shlokas in the Vedas which say that they are equal.
No, they're equal in the sense they're non-different. And that refers to the original form of Lord Shiva. And it has a particular meaning. We see Prabhupada also says that.
No, but I am talking mainly about the translation of that offense, which Prabhupada says to consider.
That's
the name
okay,
equal.
but there are multiple meanings to the various offenses. Not only one. There is one meaning, but there are other meanings also. But at any rate, one should not consider Lord Shiva to be independent of Lord Vishnu. You cannot think that I am worshipping Lord Shiva. I don't need to worship Lord Vishnu. That is useless. It is like saying, just like within ISKCON, we worship Prabhupada. We worship Prabhupada. Every day we do Prabhupada Guru. But if I say that I worship Prabhupada, but I will not chant Hare Krishna, that's foolishness. I will only worship Prabhupada. I'll go to Mayapur, I'll go to Vidvan, I'll go to Prabhupada's Samadhi. And I'll do puja for Prabhupada. And I'll glorify Prabhupada. I'll talk about Prabhupada. But I will not chant Hare Krishna. No, I will not chant. I will not chant Hare Krishna. I will not worship Radha Madhava. I will not offer obeisances to Radha Madhava. I will not accept Radha Madhava as the supreme absolute truth. I will not accept it. But I worship God. Prabhupada is my everything. These are some crazinesses. Those who worship Lord Shiva without understanding the reality about Lord Vishnu, they have been criticized. So to separate Lord Shiva from the Supreme Lord, to consider him independent of him, and to consider that he is independently equal to him. Okay, that's a group. There are some people who think like that. Shiva and Lord Vishnu equal. You can choose to worship either Lord Vishnu or Lord Shiva, and you attain the same goal. There's one group who thinks like that. That and all is foolishness. Anything else? Did this sort of prove?
Prabhuji, Jai Prabhupada.
Yeah, Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, we just read that Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava because he states the teaching of devotional service.
Your voice is breaking.
My voice is breaking.
Hare Krishna.
Now is it clear now? Krishna Prabhu.
Somewhat. Okay.
So my question is, we just read that Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava because he initiates the teaching of pure devotional service. But then we also see that Mother Lakshmi is also is Sampradaya Acharya of Sri Sampradaya, and Chatur Maharaj are there. They have also initiated the teachings of pure devotional service. And also Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that what is that sloka? Kashin me priyakritamaha bhavita na chame tasmad anya priyataro bhuvi. So yes, Prabhu. And then again there is yes, bhuvi. And then there is yes, Prabhu.
No one
and then
who is a
there
greater
is
devotee than one who preaches this highest message to my devotees on earth.
oh, I see, on earth. Okay, and
Lot
then
of
again
things.
yes, Prabhu. And again there is it is said that about Lord Giriraj Govardhan that he is Haridasa Baryo. He is the best of the devotees of Lord Hari.
There are
So-
different levels of devotees. So when you say the best of this or best of that, you have to consider what is the range that is being referred to here. Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu is right there from Bhagavatam. And Lord Shiva is presented consistently throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam as a very powerful, exalted devotee of Lord Vishnu. Very consistently, that description is there. So that should be understood to refer to a particular range. Here itself, we will see Lord Shiva will present Prahlad as being a greater devotee. We'll see that. There are particular ranges within which you discuss. So all these statements are valid within their particular ranges.
I have another question, Prabhu.
Okay.
So it is said that a jiva can join Lord Shiva, not that he can become Shiva. But we have also read that a living entity can become Rudra.
He
There is
can
tendency
attain Rudra Sarupya, literally.
Sarupya.
Yeah. Just like we become, when you go to Vaikuntha, you attain the same form as the Lord.
Okay.
So you like that you can attain Rudra Sarupya and you're, it's a post. That's a post. That's a post. There is something as Shaktavesha Shiva. But that's not the Adi Shiva. That's not the Sadashiva that we talk about. It is a post for a living entity. We saw that in Bhagavatamrita.
Does it mean that even though a living entity can attain the post of Rudra, but still that tattva will remain the same, like he's not going to become Shiva tattva like that?
He will not become Adi Shiva. You cannot, Adi Shiva is not a post. Just like Vishnu is not a post.
No, I'm not talking about Sadashiva, Adi Shiva Prabhu. Rudra, like there are 11 Rudras we learn in Bhagavatam.
That is a post.
That is also a post. But that is not Shiva tattva.
That is not necessarily Adi Shiva. Not
Mhm.
necessarily. Because if somebody is not there to fulfill the post, then the Lord Shiva, the original Lord himself will expand.
Okay, Prabhu.
Even Krishna does it all the time. When there is no qualified Brahma, Lord Vishnu himself will become Brahma. So if there's no one qualified to occupy the post of Shaktavesha Shiva, then Lord Shiva himself will come and do that job.
Mhm. Thank you, Prabhu.
All right. Hare Krishna.